Now to an important CNN exclusive. The United States finalizing plans to send the Patriot missile defense system to Ukraine as early as this week. That's according to several U.S. officials. Ukrainian officials have been asking for the system for months. Let's get to the Pentagon. CNN's Barbara Starr joins us to share this exclusive reporting. Barbara, tell us more.
Well, John, right now, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has to sign off on the plan. It goes to the White House for the president's signature. And then once all of that is done and approved, it could start moving very quickly. We're told the announcement could come by the end of the week. Why is this so important? Well, the Patriot is really the premier long-range, high-altitude air defense system that the Ukrainians have wanted for months, and the U.S. has, shall we say, been resisting sending. Now, in the face of all the destruction we're seeing in Ukraine with the Russian missile attacks, it looks like the White House is changing its mind and moving ahead. So why is this system so important? You see the picture of the launchers there. What the Patriot does is its radar locks onto an incoming Russian missile, launches its own missile to shoot down the Russian attack, and it can do it at high altitude and long range. And that means if this all works, the Ukrainian forces can bring down those Russian missiles before they get close to population centers, to power plants, to water generation plants, to bridges, to infrastructure, all the things that are causing such devastation across Ukraine. This is what the Ukrainian forces have been asking for. What will have to happen once this is all finalized is Ukraine forces will have to be trained. They are likely to go to the facility the U.S. Army runs in Grafenwehr, Germany, get the training, move back into Ukraine and set all this up. The big question, of course, what will Vladimir Putin have to say about all of this, John?
I will not be happy with this one. Important reporting. Barbara Starr, grateful for your sharing it. Thank you, Barbara.
Russian strikes continue pounding key energy targets throughout the country amid sub-zero temperatures. Volodymyr Zelensky is asking for more than $840 million from dozens of allied nations and institutions gathered at a conference in Paris, focusing on the needs of Ukrainian civilians. It comes as fighting rages across the front lines. Heavy shelling was reported overnight in the southern region, and a key transport bridge was targeted in Russian-occupied Melitopol. CNN's Will Ripley joins us live in Kyiv. So it's really tough conditions to be fighting in and tough conditions to be living in.
It's certainly tough conditions to be living in if you don't have power, which is the situation for millions of Ukrainians every time there's a Russian airstrike. In fact, the air raid sirens just went off here in Kyiv a short time ago, although it seems as if for now things are clear. It might have been the presence of Russian fighters detected in the air in Ukraine. Sometimes they sound these alarms preemptively nationwide. That's a reality of daily life. You hear the alarms and you go on with your life. But in certain areas that have been the target of constant bombardment, and also areas that are being hit hard with shelling on the front lines in the south and in the east, it truly is incredibly difficult for regular people to hold on to any semblance of normality in terms of living for days on end, in some cases without electricity, even as crews race to restore the energy grid. So for the vast majority of Ukrainians, it's not necessarily bombs right now, but the lack of power, and also in some cases interruptions to the water service. And people that don't have heat during these outages are particularly vulnerable, especially the elderly and those with young children. But people are trying to do the best they can. There has been intense fighting and some real counteroffensives happening from the Ukrainian side. Certainly on the southern front line from the liberated city of Kherson, Ukrainian forces are continuing their onslaught on Russian-held territory across the Dnipro River, and it is a situation where there are reports that are coming in that are obviously difficult to confirm without being on the ground. But these are officials that are either sharing on social media, sources speaking on various platforms, or speaking directly to CNN that Russian targets are being hit. And there may be a situation where Russian forces, now that Ukrainian intelligence seems to know where they're being held, they're having to scramble and try to find new places to house their soldiers. That was certainly not only just the situation in the south and Melitopol, one of the cities that has been getting hammered by Ukrainian artillery, but also a situation happening in the east. Russian-occupied Luhansk region, the city of Kadivka was hit with a strike that was reportedly incredibly deadly, talking about huge losses on the Russian side when Ukrainian missiles launched with U.S.-made equipment hit a hotel, and the hotel was reportedly a headquarters for those private mercenaries of the Wagner Group out of Russia. These are the civilian, fighters who essentially are hired to do the dirty work that the Russian army doesn't want to be officially connected to. They've been linked to alleged human rights atrocities in conflicts around the world, and it is possible that members of the Wagner Group who were sleeping in that hotel suffered heavy casualties, Max. So the Ukrainian military continues to call for more weapons. They call for Patriot missile defense systems as the number one item on their list, as the defense minister told us over the weekend when we spoke to him down in Odessa. Of course, that southern city has been hit particularly hard by power outages, even though the war has not come to their city. The impact of the war in terms of the loss of electricity has been a huge factor in the lives of nearly everyone who lives in the Odessa region, Max.
OK, Will Ripley in Kyiv, thank you.